Okwa ne ba so nyi do de fomo o we do o de dwel se wasa anoma kwazi dwel a na oda onsi fom da nti oso o de ne tun niti o de ka okwaren na ohuni ohwe na san anoma wa obofom ma ne na beta ne nse na taben obui
Når man er afrikansk forfatter i dag, er skridtet fra historiefortællingen til skrivemaskinen ganske lille. I en årrække har Ama Ata Aidoo fortrinsvis beskæftiget sig med undervisning og politik. Nu prøver hun helt at hellige sig sin forfattervirksomhed. Hun bor i Harare, Zimbabwe, selvom hun er fra Ghana. Efter en dramatisk periode som undervisningsminister i Ghana, foretrækker hun at forlade landet med sin 17-årige datter, som led stærkt under den politiske modstand mod moren. Der er altså både private og politiske motiver for udlændigheden.
I think I had too many ideas. So many of them were inevitably upsetting for people, for the status quo, you know.
So you were not a very beloved minister?
Well, I would want to think that some people liked me. You know what I mean? I think that the people whose opinions I cared for liked me. Others didn't. But you see, in a process like the one we had initiated, there were, and I believe there still may be, different forces at work. And I think that it was very necessary that at the time, I make myself recognize that that time was not good, for maybe what I flattered myself I knew the country ought to have. And I also think that in a way it was also good that the government could recognize this, that I was just too much for everybody at the time.
It was very tense, the whole situation. And since people didn't like the government very much at that time, it was new, and so they tended to take it out on people like me. And well, I was a junior in school, and you can't be that rude to seniors, yeah. So I got sick, and when I got better, the doctor suggested to mommy that, I go out to the country for holidays. So I went and stayed with an aunt of mine. She works in Ethiopia, in Addis. And I stayed there for, I think, 2.5 months. And then mommy came, and we came to Zimbabwe, and then decided to stay on. So that's how. The oval table. I know the oval.
Yeah, the oval. I mean, the oval is
no, White House, no oval na.
Huh?
White House, no oval na. Oval room.
Field. Is there a word like field? Here I am essentially a writer, and second, essentially a mother. Whereas before, I was essentially a university lecturer or a minister. In fact, being a mother didn't even come third place, I think part of the problem behind why I had to leave was that my daughter was living with the public somebody. And considering also that, I'm a single parent, her father wasn't even alive somewhere.
Well, I can always put my S. When I lie awake and I play Scrabble, I mean business.
I can see the results. My life in Zimbabwe and my life in Ghana, just before I left. I mean, like the two opposite sides of opposite poles.
Oh, you should. Oh, I shouldn't have brought you that.
Her i Agura-stat, der sandelig må være et af de bedste stykker land, hvor skaber Odoman Koma har givet mennesket, præges alt af mådehold. Solen står op hver dag, men sjældent brænder dens hede vore afgrøder. Regnbyerne er gode, når de falder, og Asase Efua, jordens gudinde, giver af sig selv til dem, der kender årstiderne. Der er en rigdom af floder, der som alle guder må have deres vrede øjeblikke og svulme. Men oversvømmelser har man knap nok set i mands minde. Bag os i nord sidder Abu Abura, vort smukke, ensomme bjerg med nakken mod himlene, og minder os om, at ikke hele jorden er flad. Mod syd brøler havet Nanabosombo. Tirsdagenes herre er han. Hans dag må være hellig. Vi kender ham godt, og selv den mindst eventyrlystne kan høste hans fisk, blot ved at sidde på hans smukke strande. Mens hans bølger for den tabre, der kan læse stjernebilleder, er lettere at berige end krusningerne i en grøft. Og du, mægtige Gud, og dine herskare, vore forfædre, vi siger ikke dette for at prale, men i ægte taknemmelighed. Jer beder vi om, at alting må vedblive og være godt, og endda blive bedre. Men nærm jeres øren til mig, mine venner, så jeg kan hviske jer en hemmelighed. Så velordnet vore herrer end måtte være, er de dygtigere til at slukke brande end til krigens kunst. Så jeg beder jer, lad ikke eftertiden dømme os for bittert, fordi vore huses herre på et farligt tidspunkt søgte beskyttelse hos dem, der kom fra hinsides horisonten mod vore mere aktive slægtninge i nord. Vi ønskede kun lidt fred. For den skyld brød vore fædre op. Og dog har vi fra klanernes forbund arvet en større forbrydelse. For at vi ikke skal glemme den, når tiden kommer, skal disse forter, som står ved døren til det store hav, minde vore børn, og også havet bærer vidne.
Den fornedrelse, som de gamle slaveforter vidner om, og den stolthed og glæde over Ghana, digtet giver udtryk for, er en vigtig baggrund for hele Ama Ata Aidoos forfatterskab. Derfor må vi til Ghana.
I come from this region of Ghana, this coastal region of Ghana. In Ghana, we call it the central region. I come from two villages. Traditionally, as an Akan, I'm supposed to come from my mother's village. But you see, although traditionally that is supposed to be my home because it is my mother's ancestral home, I have never lived there. I was not born there. I was not bred there. So we know it as home where we own some land, but really, when I say my village, I really normally mean my father's village. That's where I come from. My father was an Odikro. An Odikro is like a divisional, what they would call a divisional chief. he was the head of the village, and he also held a state title. So he was an ohene, a proper one.
Der er fest i høvdingegården, Ama Ata Aidoos fødehjem. Og det er netop for forfædrene, man fester. Den nye høvding, den anden efter faren, er Ama Ata Aidoos fætter.
Oyine busopayin no yo aba hima ni wesen ampa asa na wo kwa akulumin ampa ni wodi bibi wo de kwale odede bibi bia wense ayinsa dede wodi nka de se abobala mako ampa afi apetesi ampa bala ma ba asa ampa na maraka eyi no isi obabayin opinyin na ohan odede nsem wodi kwa akulum Bomba. Amata mi, my flower man ato. Yo. Apa. Nanamu, or mine, Mabain, Esafo, and Quintanjafo, Afrin Chapo.
We had the most incredible childhood. When we were growing up, my father always made it quite clear that he wanted us to go to school. And so before my time, children from our village were walking to the state capital to go to school. And my father said, no, this was not right. The children were doing too much walking to learn that when they arrived in, they got to school, they would be too tired. So he insisted on having our school in the village. And when he opened, I remember the day so well. My father, his elders, and everybody. And he opened the school. And I remember when he was giving his speech, he said, and I've quoted this all over, all the time, that, people might ask him why there were so many girls, almost as many girls as there were boys, including his own daughter. So then he quoted a famous statement by a famous Ghanaian called Agre of Africa. And he said, when you educate a man, you educate an individual. When you educate a woman, you educate a nation. And I genuinely think that this kind of orientation has been part of my own outlook on the world, in the sense that I had, right from the beginning, we are not Islamic, we the Akans, most of us are not. So that it is only later, when I came to even places like the university, where suddenly you are confronting things like, the negative attitude to women. Nobody told me when I was growing up that you can't do this because you are a woman. You can't do that because... No, it didn't exist in my background. My mother and my father, they were very easy about me. I mean, there was no apology, nothing.
Faren er ikke bare et minde, man kan drage frem ved passende lejligheder. Forfædrene besjæler stadig hele universet. De er i vinden og havet, jorden og bjergene, og de skal have både mad og drikke. Derfor strøs der hakkede jamsknolde på jorden. Og når man drikker, må man omhyggeligt give forfædrene deres del.
You know, you according to our people, you inherit your name and your soul from your father. But you inherit land security from your mother. So this kind of balance has always been part of the ambience. I think that my mother has been fantastic. I mean, she has always understood. I have not been able to prevent myself from hurting her. You know, it's amazing. We nearly always hurt most the people we also care most. It has not been deliberate, but I have done things like become a whole minister of state without telling her. You know, she was so hurt when I accepted to become, for instance, the Secretary for Education without consulting her. Now that I'm looking back, how could I have done that? You see, she heard it on the radio. That, for instance, was not nice. But then she discussed it with me and we made up. Things like that have been happening. The village was full of people who were all busy practicing their craft and their art. But everybody was also a farmer, you know. There was a group in the village who told stories. Even my own mother, I remember so well, what she used to do was to tell her stories in the morning. And we had craftspeople, other artistic people, weavers, basket weavers. And then we had people who made stools. I mean, so in this kind of atmosphere, if you have something in you too, it came out. But then I had gone to school. And since I believe that maybe talent is transferable, I mean, since I had gone to school, then some of this basic talent that was around, mine got translated into writing books.
Skolegangen endte for Ama Ata Aidoos vedkommende med en universitetsgrad i engelsk fra Lincoln Universitetet i Accra. Men allerede i studietiden var hun begyndt at skrive. I dag flokkes de studerende om hende for at få hende til at kommentere sit berømteste skuespil, The Dilemma of a Ghost, et spøgelsesdilemma. Stykket foregår i en afrikansk landsby. Ato har giftet sig med en amerikansk pige, men til trods for, at de er samme hudfarve, støder de to kulturer sammen.
Julale, how long does it take you to put on a dress? Am I to wait here forever?
If you must know, darling Ato, I'm not coming along.
What do you mean?
You know what I mean. Or don't you understand English either?
I'm waiting for you. If we aren't there by 9, the place would be full up, and I wouldn't care to stand through a World Thanksgiving service.
And of course, you would only have to come back here to sleep, wouldn't you? Only I repeat, I ain't coming along. Or are you too British? You cannot understand me Yankee lingo.
Julale, sweetie pie.
Aren't you going to say poor, sweetie pie? Aren't I poorer here than I would have been in New York City? You lally, my people say they're not pleased to see you drink alcohol. You lally, my people say they're not pleased to see you smoke. You lally, my people say, my people, my people, my people. Ato, you're such a little rotten coward. And I'm drinking in spite of what your people say. Who married me? You or your people? And why didn't you tell your people? You promised me we'd have kids when I wanted them.
They won't understand.
So you make them think I'm incapable of having kids just to save your own face?
It isn't that.
Then what is it?
They simply won't understand that one should begin having children only when one is prepared for them.
Sure not. What else can they understand but their own savage customs and standards?
Julale.
And you knew this, didn't you? You afterwards told me, didn't you, that they wanted me to strip before them and have my belly washed. Washed in that filth? What did you tell them I was before you picked me up?
Look here, I won't have you insult
My people. Go on, Ato, add it. I've had enough. I'm tired. I always have to do things to please your people. What about the sort of things I like? Don't they have any meaning in this land?
When in Rome, do as the Romans do.
I thought you could do better than old cliches. Since you preach so well, can't you preach to your people to have just a little bit of understanding the things that don't know anything about you?
Shut up! How much does the American Negro know?
You compare these idiots...
Of course, I could have chosen a Ghanaian marriage, but maybe that didn't interest me too much. I could also have chosen a black man, white woman, that sort of thing, which is so ordinary, I thought. But precisely because of the historical connections with, African Americans, Afro-Americans, I thought that provided the most incredible data for writing about this. And obviously I wasn't wrong in the sense that the dilemma, it doesn't, it's like I haven't written anything else after the dilemma of the day.
Det er elever fra teater- og kunstlinjen, der deltager i diskussionen.
The history and the literature of human people is about the actions and the falling of men. And that literature is really about what makes men and what men do. Not about women. So if you write about women, suddenly everybody is asking you, why are all your main characters women? I am a woman. When I stand in the front of a mirror in the morning, I don't see a man. Do you see? I see a woman. So when a woman writes about women, she's not being feminist. She is just being natural.
We can say, some people have said you are the anti-imperialist, the most anti-imperialist writer. Can you comment on it?
I think that's a compliment. But I don't think that I'm the most, Marxist of Africa's writers. I mean, people will mention Ngugi wa Thiong'o and other people. Yeah, but I don't know. It's the critics. You see, the critics, they will read these things and they start telling. I can't deny, I think, like I said, if people think that they can feel my socialist orientation or anti-imperialist orientation in my works, that's fine. I'm happy, yeah. Thank you.
Ghana var det første afrikanske land, der blev selvstændigt i 1957. Nytårsnat 1982 overtog kaptajnløjtnant Jerry Rawlings ved et kup regeringsmagten og gjorde Ama Ata Aidoo, der på det tidspunkt var lærer på universitetet i Cape Coast, til sin undervisningsminister. Ama Ata Aidoo var nok først og fremmest inspireret af Ghanas første præsident, Kwame Nkrumah. Det var ham, som blandt andet sagde, at Ghanas uafhængighed er meningsløs, hvis den ikke følges op af hele Afrikas befrielse. Her møder hun sin afløser og kollega.
Very, very hot, yes. As you know.
The whole essence of what we are trying to do in Ghana now is to just give meaning to, that statement of Nkrumah on the eve of our independence. Mm-hmm. People quote the others like, the independence of Ghana is meaningless and so on. But there is something that he said about a new African who has come onto the scene now, ready to take on responsibilities and make decisions
for himself and herself.
That's right. And we have not prepared our people to do that, and we continue to
expect things. If education doesn't prepare anybody to take charge, to take responsibility for his or her own life, then it is no education. We used to, we know that Ghana pays so much towards education, and yet, really, it is like coughing money into education.
What were your ideas?
Oh, well, basically, it was to democratize, education and make it more nationalistic. Yeah, but I mean nationalistic in terms of more African, more Ghanaian content to education, and have more children going to school and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, you know.
You have called yourself a critical patriot.
Have I?
Yes.
Where did I do that?
I have seen it in some interview with you.
Oh, I see. Yeah. And I think Ghanaians, nearly the whole nation, is, are critical patriots because we are a highly politicized people. You know, Ghanaians don't sit. You know, people discuss, they talk, you know. I mean, all over. We've always been like this, and I suspect we'll be like this. You know, I mean, Ghanaians are political from when they are 3. And they are political when they are over 100. So in that respect, I am not such a unique Ghanaian. I'm just a Ghanaian.
You didn't mind being a member of a military government.
I won't answer.
Sig mig, hvem du omgås, og jeg skal sige dig, hvem du er, hedder det på dansk. Og vi traf et par af Ama Ata Aidoos venner. Ricky er modedesigner og mener, at den selvtillid, mange afrikanere savner, blandt andet kan skabes via tøj.
Well, Ricky is Ricky. And we've just been friends. And I think it is not strange because he is also an artist. And I think that he understands some of my confusions. And he is very sympathetic and very supportive and appreciative, you know? And people like that give you a lot of strength and courage.
Gladys Brenya er fiskegrosserer og ejer selv 12 fisketrålere.
Oh, Mrs. Brenya. She's a woman who works hard. She is in fishing. We met not so long ago, but I think we took to one another. She is a different type of friend, and she knows I respect her enormously for the sheer energy and the commitment with which she does her work. You know, I mean, my goodness, she works hard. And in this society, women have always worked, always. And I think that she knows I admire her for this. I mean, it's that kind of friendship. Two women who like one another, I think, for the work they do. I don't think she knows me too well as a writer. I think she knows me more as a secretary, you know. I mean, I think she heard me when I was secretary and stuff like that.
Ghana Bob Marley. I from a world man. I from a bodyguard.
Havet drøner stadig mod kysten. Forterne står der endnu og bærer vidne, også om den danske indsats. Her fra slavernes kyst, som Thorkild Hansen har kaldt den, udskibede Danmark i løbet af 200 år omkring 100.000 afrikanere. De skulle være billig arbejdskraft på vores sukkerplantager i Vestindien, men for hver en, der nåede frem, døde der 2 undervejs. Det var de lokale høvdinge, der forsynede europæerne med slaver. Til gengæld fik de brændevin, krudt og kugler, som de skulle bruge til deres indbyrdes krige. Den afrikanske samfundsstruktur blev knust, men pengene fra sukkeret blev grundlaget for hele den vestlige industrialisering. Den kostede en menneskelig fornedrelse, som afrikanerne har haft sværere ved at fortrænge end vi, der hverken dagligt har forterne for øje, eller skolebøger, der usminket fortæller om, hvad danske embedsmænd foretog sig med den danske konges og regerings velsignelse. En af slavehandlerne opnåede endog en medalje for menneskekærlighed.
The thing is that, as far as I'm concerned, since we met you people 500 years ago, look at us. We've given everything. You are still taking. It's true. I mean, where will the whole Western world be without Africa? Our cocoa, our timber, our gold, our diamonds, our platinum, our whatever. Everything you are is us. I am not saying it, it's a fact. And in return for all of this, what have we got? Nothing. Anti-personnel indoctrination against ourselves. If you go and cook your horrible diseases like AIDS, you say it is us. You brought us tuberculosis. We didn't have this big cough until white people came here. In exchange for Africa giving Europe 500 solid years of our people, I mean not Europe, the Western world, of our human beings to work your canes, to dig your gold, to take in gold itself, diamond, I mean, you know, fish, peanuts, palm oil, everything. In exchange for that, we have got nothing. Nothing. And you know it. Nothing. And you look upon, you know, white folks look upon us like monkeys. It is true. It's in your literature. Hey, you know, some of your best thinkers have said this about us. Have you heard of all these Germans? Have you heard?
Okay.
Yes. They said, Lord Burton, yes. People like that, they said, we don't even have the brain of animals. That's what we've got from you people.
But don't you think that this is over now?
Over where? Is it over? Who said that AIDS came from the green monkey? Is it over? Is it over?
Well, if this is your impression, do you think that you can ever forgive us?
It's not a question of forgiveness. I have nothing against you. My point is that you did and you are doing for your survival what is necessary. We can't blame you for that. The fact that we didn't do enough for our own survival and we are still not doing enough for our survival, that is not your problem. You know, even everybody that God has created has a sense of survival, you know, and if we don't develop it, we can't blame white people. You came here because you needed these things. You took gunpowder from the Chinese. You needed them to shoot people. I think that for me and members of my family, Elmina Castle has got a very, very special significance because they tortured my father's father, my real grandfather, to death there by the colonial government. So for me, I mean, when people like me talk about colonization, neo-colonization, it's not just because one is being intellectually smart. You know, I mean, we have personal touches with it. I mean, I cannot forget that this happened to my grandfather.
Do you consider AIDS as a new form of colonization?
Of course.
Why?
That's why. You know, my people, the Akans, we have a proverb. It says that good morning, thank you, is never enough to salt anybody's food forever. You cannot build your life on thank you, morning, thank you, English, thank you, God, you know, which is what aid makes, you know, we are always receiving. Nobody, look, and I don't care who hears, nobody anywhere in this world is going to send you their best of anything. Do you see? Neither the experts nor what I mean, people, you give us what you can afford. Aid is the leftover, really, and it cannot be enough. What I mean, aid, you can, when, you know, the world is, now the world is one place. So, there is nothing wrong if my house is in a crisis and you offered me something. There's nothing wrong, you know, because there is interrelationship. But a whole nation, a whole continent cannot live forever on aid. And I think aid is we are in Africa, we are in danger of making foreign aid a kind of policy that is wrong. I mean, I think that we, you know, it humiliates our people. The people in the villages have not asked anybody to go around begging on their behalf.
7 polemiske bøger er det blevet til. Det er skuespil, noveller, en roman, digte og fortællinger for børn. Alt skrevet på engelsk, som falder Ama Ata Aidoo lettest. Bøgerne er båret af en ægte indignation mod et hvert magtmisbrug. Hos kolonisterne, men ikke mindst hos hendes egne.
Well, I'm being a writer, really. It is crazy. I mean, it is a very self-consuming kind of activity. You know, you sit in a room, you write, and you think that other people outside want to hear it. I mean, the tensions of, you know, writing a book, it's tense. When you finish writing the book, you are tense because you wonder, how will the publishers and editors react to a book, to a story? Even when it's published, you wonder, why are they saying that my books are selling in Ghana, in Nigeria, in Sierra Leone, Botswana, Lesotho, even South Africa, Kenya, and I'm still so poor? So all of these issues are part of the horror, real horror, of being a woman, a writer, an African. But you don't stop writing because of any of them. You just go on. Life is like that.
Elden wasi abrofo wasi enwa ma wayen no wadisi ho amono mare sesi nya bibifo ya beso mama sitre mo tarenyi emi na meye nya brem mo tarenyi waya abrofo nkande a wo mehie bi wo ma ho pipe wo mehie bi ibre ya na yada ho yenom na muwre na trafa hudin wana na fa huda na mukwedi semi oyedo mama hendo